How's it going, Team Forsaken? Airsoft Matt here along with Omega, and today we wanted to bring you guys a video about do's and don'ts when it comes to the Airsoft game. So, you want to start with the do's or the don'ts? I know we're going to go back and forth.
Yeah, we got a little bit more do's than don'ts. But they all just kind of fall in together, though.
Yeah.
So we can start with the do's. You do the do's. I do the don'ts. Don'ts.
I do the do's.
Do the do. It's not a Mountain Dew commercial.
Okay, so probably the first and most important thing about Airsoft falls under the do column, and that would be to call your hits. And it kind of falls under honesty, but honesty isn't just about calling your hits in Airsoft, even though that is a huge part of it. You need to call your hits because it is an honesty sport. If I shoot Ryan and he decides to not call his hit, that takes the fun out of it for me as well as him. So make sure you guys are calling your hits. And also about being honest on the field. Like, say, for example, I know at the field I play at, this happens all the time. We have a huge lost and found bin. If you find something out on the field, be honest about it. Take it back to the field owner or whoever runs the place. Give it to them because it could have been someone out that very day that lost that part, lost that mag, lost something, and they could. It would just be all around helpful.
Yeah, because everybody knows, like, some of this stuff isn't cheap at all.
No.
If you lost a decent pistol or like a bag or some kind of attachment or something, it's important.
Yeah. So, now you have a comment about calling your hits.
Yeah, this kind of falls into the don'ts category. You know, don't not call your hits. I know it's a double negative, but because the example that we had for this is we went and played at Georgetown, and it's kind of bad to point someone out, but it was an older guy, a Russian guy, as far as we could tell.
Ukrainian, I believe.
Yeah, maybe. But he wasn't really calling his hits. And we saw him at the end of probably the third game we played.
It was like the second or third game.
And because I know at one point I was bunkered down shooting at him and I noticed him down in some brush. And then I never heard anything and eventually I couldn't see him anymore, so I guess he moved. But we saw him later that day whenever we was standing around after the match. And he had welts on his face. And this is why it's important. You can get yourself hurt not calling your hits because other people don't know to stop shooting. And he had like a welt on his forehead. He had one above his lip. And he had a couple of them. It was about 5.
I mean, the way I think about it is if I'm getting shot, I don't want to keep getting shot.
Right? You should have been okay.
If I get shot,
right,
that's enough for me. I'm not saying Airsoft hurts, but if you get shot once,
being
that's
shot
enough.
in the face isn't pleasant at all.
Like
on skin, if that matter.
I know for a fact we were it was right after our first game, and we had actually parked next to him that day in the parking lot. We were all out there loading up our mags, and we were talking to him back and forth because they were asking us for some batteries, I think, for their
somewhere they could go get
for their
batteries
walkie-talkies or something like that. No welts on his face or anything. They get back, we play our second game, and there came a scenario where he was about 20 feet in front of me, maybe even a little closer. It was pretty close engagement. And I was on semi-only, and I have a 4x scope on my gun that I run. And so I was aimed down my scope, and I was watching the BBs bounce off of his head. Wasn't calling a single hit. And he would just poke his head up from behind the bunker that he was behind,
pat, pat, pat.
and he'd get a couple more shots in his face. 30 minutes later after that game, he'd take his face mask off. Not his mask, but he had a little...
Like goggles.
Yeah, he had like a balaclava on, I think is how you say it.
Yeah.
And he had welts all over his face. I just don't understand why you would not call your hit in the first place. Because you know that had to hurt. 20 feet away getting shot in the face. So just make sure you guys call your hits.
It's not only just a matter of honesty, it's a matter of safety at that point.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about falls under the do column again, and that would be being helpful and being a team player. if you're out there and you have more experience with airsoft or working on guns or just more experience in airsoft in general, and there's someone newer out there that's having an issue with a gun, or they're just having some kind of issue, be helpful, stand up, go just try to lend any support that you can. And also helping and being a team player, it's kind of can be the same thing, but just make sure that you're a team player, because in the end of the day, it's going to be more fun for you, it's going to be more fun for your teammates, you're going to get more enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, the whole point's kind of immersion.
Yeah.
So you can just go out there, like, call targets, call what you see, and if you see somebody struggling, just see if you can give them a hand. Yeah.
Like Omega said, you just want to. It's about immersing yourself in it. It's going to be more fun for just everyone as a whole if you're partaking in everything instead of just kind of doing your own thing for the game. Okay,
so our next don't that we have is kind of a lump of things of being disrespectful, an idiot, or just put them both together, say a jackass.
Yeah.
And it all falls with just don't be annoying to other people, don't act stupid and like running around screaming or just being disrespectful towards anyone else. That's from like yelling or cussing or calling people an idiot, or which we kind of did, but just now.
Yeah.
But I'll show you guys a quick clip that we have. It's like a first-hand experience with this, and this is just puts it all together perfectly.
It does. It falls under being that jackwagon category. It was actually happening to me. You'll see in the video. Omega will put it somewhere on the screen for you guys.
We'll just cut it and let it roll.
Yeah,
from right here.
I wouldn't leave that up to me.
Good job.
No.
I won't go far.
I'll make sure I don't revive you.
You won't have.
Go, bro. Okay, I'm kidding.
I'll tell you a second before you got it.
Well, he was sitting there behind the
I'm sorry.
looking back going,
I was messing with you, man.
Yeah, so in the clip you guys saw, he was just being for absolutely no reason. That was me that he was messing with there before the game in the briefing. We
didn't even know him. That's the next thing.
Exactly. Maybe if that was Omega messing with me, it'd be different. But someone I had never met before comes up to me and is being blatantly disrespectful for it served no purpose.
Yeah.
There was no purpose for it. And then in the second part of the clip,
you got like a whole group. There's probably about 4 or 5 people where we're at.
I mean, I know it's not like a real world scenario where you don't want to reveal.
You don't want to give away your location.
No, you don't. But at the same time, it's just
he's running through the woods, screaming
running
like
through the woods, screaming, and it just serves no place. And I'm not saying people like that shouldn't play, but just don't be that guy. Okay, so these next 3 things we kind of already touched on in a sense, so I'm just going to lightly touch on them. I want to say, like, be outgoing, make friends, and just have fun. We've already kind of touched on that, like immersing yourself into the sport, and like I said, be outgoing. You're there to make friends, and at the end of the day, you are there to have fun. So,
the other side of the spectrum of that, is, well, I guess you could say the suggestion that we got was, don't be an elitist, or basically
thinking you're better.
A know-it-all. Yeah. I mean, you may know something more than other people if you're more experienced in airsoft, but there's a certain way to come about it.
Just don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Everyone's played with that guy.
The guy that's standing out there before matches and like showing his gun off and all this cool stuff that he's got and kind of bragging. You don't want that.
No.
If somebody's interested in something you have, they'll come up and ask you.
Yeah.
It's pretty much as simple as
You don't
that.
got to walk around holding it up on a silver platter
Yeah.
because you think it's better than what someone else has.
Or you get there just a little bit before everybody else and you got all your gear on and you just kind of like strut around the parking lot. Yeah. Like,
Plenty of those guys.
you're peacocking. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I never really thought about it like that.
Yeah. Just don't do that.
Yeah. So, probably the last thing that we want to touch on falls under the do's, and it's about following the rules. And it falls under, I guess you could say, just the moral rules, which is being honest and calling your hits, stuff we touched on earlier. But, of course, the field rules. And what the owner or whoever's running it that day, the refs, anyone,
Yeah.
whatever rules they have set, follow those rules. Those rules are there to keep you safe, and most importantly, make sure that you guys have fun. If you're going to have a bunch of people out there who's breaking those rules, it's not going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to make a bad experience for everybody.
It
Because
will.
I know if somebody was like breaking the rule of engagement, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like distance wise, if somebody came up on me and just like really lit me up,
That's where it comes.
yeah,
That's where it turns into dangerous.
right. You got to know because some places have like the touch rule if you can walk up and touch
Mm-hmm.
somebody, but if you're in the 20-foot range, you just don't shoot at each other.
Yeah.
You can move, or they
Like-
can move, or it just depends on the situation you're in.
Like the minimum engagement distance isn't there just to be there. It's there because as a BB travels down further and further, it loses its impact force, which is measured in joules. And the closer you are, the more joules that BB will hold, the worse it's going to hurt. That's why sniper rifles on most fields have a minimum engagement distance of
I think it's
You-
like 50 feet
usually it's 100.
or 100.
Usually it's 100 because
I got
the-
shot at a lot
yeah.
closer than 100 that time.
usually people who use a sniper rifle or some kind of DMR setup it's going to have a higher FPS and they're going to use a higher weight BB, which will carry more force. So those rules aren't just there to be there.
Right.
They're there for your safety. They're there for other people's safety and just to keep everything on a level playing field and to make sure that you guys have fun.
It also made me think of another don't, I guess you could say, is that usually most places, well, the place we go, has a chronograph.
Yes.
And that's another big thing. You need to,
Don't skip out on that.
yeah, because it could cause someone to get hurt. Because
Exactly.
well, we play at, like, the max is 400 for
400
the regular guns,
Mhm.
and then, like, snipers
if it
is,
goes
like,
to a sniper,
500.
a DMR,
Yeah,
it has to be minimum engagement of 100 feet.
yeah. Like, if you go to the close quarters combat range, like an urban scenario, they probably have it drop down to, like, 250.
350 usually.
350.
Between 300 and 350.
Yeah, so make sure you do that before you play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that wraps up our list of do's and don'ts that we compiled and also got from the community. And if there's anything that you guys can think of that we may have left out, leave it down in the comments. We might make another one to address even more situations.
Yeah. If you guys come up with enough good ones that we don't already have on this list, or
Right.
or there were things that we didn't touch on, we will gladly make a new video on that.
Yeah.
So
So, that pretty much wraps this one up.
Yep.
If you could, go down there and hit that like button. Also subscribe, but it's somewhere right in here. Where's it up there? Anyway, it don't
over
matter.
here.
But like, subscribe, leave us some comments of any things that you guys can think of. And until the next video, see you later, Team Second.